Hey everybody, my name's Hayden, and welcome to Learning C# episode 2. This time I'm going to be actually developing it. I'm going to be live coding. Somebody pointed out to me that it's probably a better method of doing things. That, and I'm having real issues with recording PowerPoint, so there are some issues there I'm trying to work out. Okay, so let's hop. So I've got Visual Studio 2019. This is what you'll see when you start up. Not this bit, but you'll see this. I'm going to go ahead and create a new solution. You don't need to worry about this. Just use the .NET Core console app for now. And I'm going to set this to Learning C#. And I'm going to put this in there. Okay. This doesn't matter much. You could follow along with an online IDE. You could use REPL.it, or you could use that .NET site that I showed you before. But today I'm going to be covering some of the various data types and what constants are and how you can use them. So there you go. So there are a few things to note about what I'll be doing in this that differs from online. Obviously you have a run button still, but on this it will actually launch in its own window, I believe. Yes, it will. So this will actually launch in its own window. Now Visual Studio kindly starts us off with the structure that I mentioned in last episode. And so I'm just going to go straight into I can just go straight into showing you different data types. So the first one I'm going to show you is this one, void. Void, you may have seen in the last episode. It's used to show the compiler that this will not. It's used to show the rest of your code that this will not return anything. So this will not give back a value. And static means that you can use it without having to create a new instance of the class it's in this case program. So with most things you would have to do a new program. So if I was to do program prog equals new program, and then I'd have to do prog dot, I could just do I would do prog dot main. Because it's a static class, I don't have to create this, and I could just do program dot main. There you go. I could just do program dot main. Obviously it threw errors because it was outside of what you can actually code in, but you would do it from within another method or within a class. So now I've covered what void is. Let's move on to the next one. This is one that you will come across a lot. So is the one that I'm going to show you after it. This one is called a string, and a string is literally a string of characters. So let's do string console message equals hello world. Now here I can actually show you how to use variables. So you can see here we also have a string here, as you can see from how it's laid out. What we can do is we can replace this string with the name of of the variable we created. Just the name. But now this console.writeLine statement will print out hello world the same as it did before, only this time it's in a variable and we can change it as we need to. So let's do hello YouTube. And restart it. There you go. And that says hello YouTube, because we don't have to make any changes to this. and it will print out the contents of this variable. In this case it's a string, so it's a string of characters called console message. Up here we're using a string again to form args, but you may notice this set of square brackets here. This means it's an array, and as such there are multiple of them. So if I wanted to get the first argument, you would do args 0 to get the first index, or to get the first item from the args array. You won't need to know this for a while, because I'm not going to go through it for a while, but that's just something to note. If you ever see square brackets, that means there are multiple. So the next type I'm going to show you is an integer. So an integer, you just type int, and let's do how much is in, or how many coins do I have, and we'll set this to 5. So as you can see, you just set integers with a number on their own, but watch what happens if I try and do 5.5. Okay, there we go, we get an error. So this represents a double precision floating point integer, and it can't convert type double to int. Now this is because this is a floating point. You can't use an integer, which is essentially a number. You can't use an integer to show a floating point or a decimal number. For that, you will have to use one of two. You'll have to use one of two types, and I'm going to show you those now. So first we have float, which is not particularly accurate, or not as accurate as the one I'll show you afterwards. Let's do 5.65 for that one. And then we also have double, which is a float, but you can have it can be double the size or doubly accurate. So a bit more accurate, you know, we could do 5.6565. Obviously that doesn't really show it off, but you also need f on the end of that to show that it's a float. Okay, so now we can still include them in a console.writeLine. So let's try swapping these out. So how many coins do I have? Let's launch our program again. As you can see, spits out 5. A bit more accurate. That should spit out 5.6565. There we go. So we know that this works. So now I've covered those, I have a couple more to go through, and then I think that should be it. Actually, I think I have one more to go through with you. So I said before that a string is multiple characters. Now, string has, if you think of string as a double in terms of letters, then you also have a type called char, which is like the integer of letters. So my first initial, and set that to h. So with a char, oh, oops. So with a char, whoa, don't want that. With a char, you have to use single quotes to show that it's a character, and it just means that there is one character in it, as opposed to multiple that you get from a string. So if I set this to my first initial and we launch it again, as you can see, just get h. This is useful in some cases, but most of the time you will just end up sticking with string, just like you should most of the time stick to using a float, stick to using a double over a float, unless you're using something like Unity to program games or something like that, or something else with graphics. So now, next what I said I would show you is constant. Now a constant is like a variable, only it can't be changed. It's completely fixed. Once it's been set, it can't be modified. So to create a constant, you just put const before the data type and the name. So if I want to do const string my full name, I would do that. And now, if I try and do my full name equals Hayden Dung, no, make fun of myself here, you'll see that it throws an error. It says left hand side of an assignment must be a variable property or index. I'm not sure about that, but basically the error is throwing because we can't change it. If I was to get rid of const on that, as you can see, it now allows us to change it. If I add const again, it throws an error because we can't reassign it. I'm not quite sure where that comes from, but it's basically it's throwing because we can't reassign the variable. So that's about it for this episode. I just wanted to go through variables, how to change them, how to set them, and constants, and that was about all I wanted to go through. So if you enjoyed it, obviously leave a like. If it was helpful, leave a like, and hopefully I'll see you again next episode. There were a lot of issues with OBS for this one, not recording at the right frame rate, not recording at the right resolution, but I think I've got it sorted out now, so should be good for next week. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, leave a like, and I'll see you later.